This is why most people give up on their dreams. They don't give up due to a lack of motivation, confidence, time, or money. And they certainly don't give up because of the pain. They give up due to a lack of clarity and a lack of meaning. For example, right now, I'm building my coaching company called Golden Age Academy. This is a big vision, long-term vision. Simultaneously, I am building another business to bring in stability because I know that this big vision with Golden Age, it takes time. And I simply have to respect that and allow it to build organically. It takes time for a seed to bear fruit. If I were to put too much pressure on that, it would just snap, it would break. And so my job, how I look at it, is that I'm simply a steward. I'm a steward of the vision. What does the vision need? I simply do that thing. If I do all these steps, that's the one thing I can control. I can't control the output, but I can control what I put into it. And so if I simply do those things, one day there will be a harvest. However, if I didn't have that clarity of what that long-term vision is for me, it'd be so easy to give up because the motivation is long gone. Like the motivation comes every now and then, but really it's like, that seemingly instant transformation that we see with success when it comes to success. Yeah, we see the transformation happen in real time, but really it's like the thousands of reps that they put into it on a daily basis. During those thousands of reps, I'm sure the motivation isn't there. The motivation isn't what's guiding them. It's the vision that they have that's guiding them and the reason why it's important to them. And so that's how I look at my vision too. It's like motivation's gone, but I know why I'm doing it. And so that's what keeps me going. For example, like with filming these YouTube videos, I don't necessarily want to do it. Like I'm not necessarily comfortable speaking in front of a camera and I don't necessarily even enjoy it, but I understand why I'm doing it. Like I understand the purpose of it, And so if I'm clear on what purpose is serving, then I can get behind it. But if I'm not clear on this purpose, then I can't get behind it. And if I can't get behind it, I'll probably just give up on it. Like there's been so many things, so many ideas that I've had in the past where, in hindsight, it's a good thing that I did give up on it because it wasn't my destiny. But it was partially too because I didn't have the clarity of what it was that I was wanting to create and also why it's important to me. So again, like motivation fades. And for me, motivation actually comes from doing the daily reps, just staying disciplined, staying accountable to the path. By doing that, like the momentum builds, and the momentum builds. Because of that, the motivation builds. Now, for many people, they think the reason that they have given up on their dreams is because of lack of motivation. It's a lack of their confidence, it's a lack of time, lack of money, just any reason. But really, it's just a lack of clarity. Like if you truly knew what you wanted to create and you knew why it's important to you, why would you ever give up? Right? Like if you knew that this big vision that you're working towards, if you knew that was in alignment with your higher ultimate truth, like if you knew that's part of the reason why you exist, why would you give up? Once we see truth, it's very hard to turn our backs on that. And then life in itself will orchestrate in such a way to give us certain pieces that become motivation. So for example, like my children are some of the biggest, sources of motivation for me. Because I want to lead by example. I want to for me, if I could instill one thing in my kids is that don't ever give up on your dreams. Understand why you're here, find out why you're here, and live that to the fullest. Live your truest and fullest expression. And so how do we teach our kids that? Well, we have to become that. We have to lead by example. So again, if you knew what it is that you wanted to create, and you knew why it's important to you, now you're starting to develop roots. And at the same time, And life is going to test us. Life is going to test our commitment. And if we are clear on why it's important to us, it'll just sturdy and strengthen our roots that much more. But if we're not clear, we won't have the roots and we'll fall over and we'll give up completely. So when people think it's because of fear or trauma, just the past stories, I mean, this is part of it. And this is just part of the path in itself. This is just part of life. The thing I find is that if we do have that northern star that we're walking towards, like, of course, the shadow inevitably has to arise. Like, it just will. It's just part of the path, because now we're walking a path that's in alignment with our higher truth, our higher vision. And as a result, that path is going to require the best of us. It's going to require us to embody our truest and highest form of expression. In that process, the shadow inevitably will arise. So we don't have to worry about like seeking our trauma or seeking our shadow. It'll just come. So like, that is not the problem. That is not the problem. That is just part of the path. The problem is that when we make that a problem, we associate too much meaning. We give that too much meaning, when in reality, that is just a part of the path. You know, we're walking in alignment with our truth, our vision. During that, we're going to have to confront our shadow. We're going to have to confront ourselves, our blocks. This is just part of it. However, what comes on the other side of that is the embodiment. If we embody, if we transform those parts of ourselves, those lower parts of ourselves, start to embody those higher parts of ourselves, well, now we're staying the course. Those roots are strengthening. We're starting to connect more and more and more and more. And how the vision works for me is that it gives me little, like, piece by piece, step by step. If I stay the course and if I embody those teachings, if I embody that step, all the teachings that come with that step, now it shows me the next step. And it's just step by step. To me, the vision, like my vision, is kind of acts as like the sun. You know, it lights the way. I can't look directly at it. I can't see it in detail, but it lights the way. And I know when I'm connected. Just like when we know how we feel when we're connected to the sun. You know, it warms us up, lights us up, rejuvenates us. And I feel like that's the same with our vision. So this is what I get people to do. First, dream up your new dream. Take away all limitations. What would your life look like? What type of dream would you create? And then who is the person that lives that dream? Super important. If you don't become that person, that dream is not sustainable. If you become the person, your life just automatically becomes that. And so that person now becomes your standard of living, your new standard of living. This is what you hold yourself accountable to. And like, imagine if all of a sudden your current self was placed into this new dream world, new dream life. Like, how long do you think you would last in that new life before you went back to your current reality? Why? Because it's going to be triggering the hell out of you. It's going to be triggering all the parts in your shadow, all those limiting beliefs, all those old stories. It's going to be triggering all that. And if you're not aware of that, if you haven't actually done the work, developed those roots, embodied those traits, you're going to result to what's familiar. You know, you're going to go back to what's familiar. And as a result, that new paradigm is going to turn into the old. And so again, the emphasis on embodiment can't be understated. And so once you've created that new dream, then we look at, okay, 5 years from now, this is your 5-year target. What needs to happen? You know, 5 years from now, what do you want to be in alignment with that dream? If you know your 5-year target, we know 1 year from now what needs to happen in order to get you to that 5-year mark. If you have your 1-year milestone, now we work on the four-week project. That's all we focus on. What do we have to do in this next 4 weeks that's going to get you to your 1-year milestone? From there, it's just a process of refinement, course correct, and just stay in the path. Now, this is when the logical mind this is where the logical mind like can really really sink into. Initially, we have to invest in it on an emotional level, but that can only last so long. It's like the vision. Like many people resist the structure because they resist the structure and the systems. They never actually achieve anything because they just stay stuck in the visionary realm. Vision by itself isn't going to produce. Vision plus the systems will produce the vision. Now it's a matter of staying accountable. I look back at my life and all the things that I have achieved. I always had a teacher. There was whether it was on the medicine path or whether it was coaching, doesn't matter what it was. I had either a teacher, a mentor, or a coach. Somebody that I had to show up to and I had to stay accountable to. I could promise you that if I was doing that by myself, I would not have stayed the course. A couple of years ago, I invested pretty well my whole life savings in business coaching as I'm building Golden Age. I invested all my money into this, and it was for a year. And like, there's lots of what I've learned that doesn't apply to me. There's lots that does apply to me, but the real, like what that really did for me, making that investment, is that I proved to myself that I was committed. That was like the price of admission for me. Because like I said, like there's many times I look back at certain things that I wanted to create and I'd given up on pretty well everything. I didn't stay the course on majority of them. By doing this, I proved to myself that I'm committed. And a few years in, like I'm still going with it. And so, like, to me, it's all about having that accountability, teachers, mentors, groups, and programs. Just something that you have to show up to on a regular basis. Like, we will do much more for others than we will ourselves. Like, if you have a workout buddy, you're gonna go meet somebody for a run. You're getting up early. The last thing you want to do is get up and go do that. But you know that your buddy's gonna be there waiting for you. So the likelihood of you going is probably that much more. So what's the cost of doing this alone? Well, first of all, you're looking at this from your current perspective, your current point of view, and your current paradigm. And for most, it's a very limited paradigm. It's a degenerative paradigm, limiting beliefs, limiting mindset, scarcity mindset. And so what type of dream do you think you're going to create? Well, it's going to be in alignment with these limiting beliefs. Whereas you start working with a mentor, a coach that's gone through it, now they're going to push you. They're going to hold you accountable to that higher perspective, the higher growth. And so it can save you so much time because you can spend years just spinning the same cycle over and over again, that limiting belief cycle, And so, and at the end, it's like, it's going to save us that regret because at the end of the day, we're all going to leave this place. We're all going to leave this body. We're all going to leave this life. We're going to look back on our life, I believe, with either regret or fulfillment. And the last thing, like the biggest piece of motivation that keeps me, like the ultimate piece of motivation for me, is that the last thing I want is to look back at my life with regret. Like that alone scares me enough to stay the course. So my challenge to you is to dream up a new life. Remove all those limitations, the scarcity mindset. Look at it from that perspective of you're going to die. You got a limited time here. What are you going to do with this time? Dream up a new life. Who do you have to become? And then 5 years from now, where do you need to be? 1 year from now, where do you need to be? If you want help with this, I got an exercise for free in the description below.